This is DePauw's new art building, designed by world-renowned architect Carlos Jimenez. Its architectural beauty and state-of-the-art classrooms, studios, and galleries are enriching the lives of students and faculty. The building has been named for Richard E. Peeler, a devoted art teacher, laudable artist, renowned potter and sculptor, and avid football fan. Richard was born on August 8, 1926, in Indianapolis. He met his future wife and partner, Marge Schultz, at the age of 15 in an art class at Arsenal Technical High School. In 1944, 5 months after graduation, Richard was drafted into service. After the war, he returned home to Marge. They were married at age 21. Marge's father gifted the new couple an acre of land in Putnam County. Richard and Marge used dirt from the site to create a house built of rammed earth walls. This was to be the team's largest collaborative sculpture. 1948 began a whirlwind era for the couple. They used a wedding gift of $200 to buy their first kiln. Richard and Marge set to work immediately. This vase is one of the first pieces on which Richard and Marge collaborated. Richard threw the large ovoid vase and Marge decorated it, using a line design incorporating Richard Shore birds. In 1949, Richard received his degree from DePauw. 2 years later, he began teaching art classes at Tech, his former high school, until 1958, when he joined the art department at DePauw. There, he taught ceramics, sculpture, crafts, art teaching methods, and photography for 14 years. The university also recruited a willing Richard to film their football games, a task he lovingly performed for the next 4 decades. He became an institution to DePauw football, lasting longer than players and coaches.
When I asked about movie taking of the games, he said, well, you don't have to worry about that. We have one of the best in the business, and he was correct. Even our competitors up the road, Greg Carlson, told me many times that our game film was the best game film they saw every year, the way it was taken. He did it professionally, and there's a knack to it, and he's certainly at it.
Ever a presence in the community, Richard also organized an art program for local use. He rented short movies about art to use in each session. Watching these films, he was inspired to create his own films, with which he would teach the ceramic arts. In 1965, Richard seized his dream, taking a sabbatical from his university duties and traveling the country. Marge supported him every step of the way, filming outstanding potters and teachers, studying the different methods of working with and thinking about clay. Richard also spent 2 months in Japan, filming 10 potters who worked with the time-honored manner of wheel-thrown ceramic ware. The team's first film was called What, Why, and How, which served as an introduction to clay, methods of working, and kilns. Over the course of 3 years, Richard and Marge made 8 films, each one educating the viewer about the skills and philosophy behind the art of ceramics. In 1972, Richard and Marge built their own studio, and Richard left teaching in order to focus full-time on his potting. They turned out an average of 10,000 works a year, most of which were sold to eager consumers who visited their studio. The studio guest book lists visitors from all 50 states and over 50 different countries. In addition to utilitarian pottery, the couple created artistic, one-of-a-kind pieces. Richard made hundreds of tiny shore bird sculptures, and Marge handcrafted thousands of beads. The sale of these little pieces helped pay the cost of fueling the kiln for over 28 years. Marge invented the percussion contraption to occupy children visiting the studio. Richard caught green sunfish from the local lake. By feeding them a healthy diet of garden worms and a healthy dose of persistence, Richard trained the fish to jump out of the water and through a hoop. Richard began to lose his strength around 1996. Soon after, he was diagnosed with a degenerative disease that slowly destroyed the artist's muscles. In spite of the diagnosis, he continued to sculpt, turn bowls, throw pots, and film DePauw's football games. It was there, at the 1998 Monon Bell game, that Richard closed out his long affiliation with DePauw. He entered the hospital the next day. Richard Peeler died December 22, 1998, at the age of 72.
I want to dedicate this living memorial to the valor, the humanity, the integrity, and the decency of this artist. It is my hope and prayer that through these efforts, others may come to learn to create and to appreciate art. Even more, that they may gain some measure of understanding of the values represented by Mr. Peeler's art, teachings, and indeed his life. That is all anyone could ever wish for.
In October 2002, the new DePauw Art Center was dedicated and named the Richard E. Peeler Art Center. He will be remembered.